Well, as they say, it's time to take out the trash because our next target is Junkman, who is definitely one of the largest robot masters I've ever seen, but maybe that's just the 16-bit graphics. Anywho, Junkman's stage is odd, to say the very least. We've got the return of the Tri-Propellants. Most excellent. Not really, because they shoot at you. But right off the bat, we are introduced to the most annoying enemy in Junkman's stage. Gockroaches. Gockroaches, which sometimes live in nests, are really fast and they're really low to the ground, so they're very difficult to hit with a buster. It should be worth noting that every time you destroy a Gockroach nest, they will spawn 2 Gockroaches. But then again, if you don't destroy them, they'll keep respawning, and nobody wants that. Also, Junkman's stage is filled to the brim with elevators. Elevators which are populated by Helimetals. Thankfully, they're relatively easy to deal with, and they tend to drop a lot of bolts as well. Speaking of which, I don't think I've talked about bolts yet. They serve as currency in the game. Currency which you can use to purchase upgrades from Otto, that robot we saw in the opening cutscene. I'll be sure to show him off eventually, but right now, we've got some molten metal and Gockroaches. By the way, that molten metal, it is insta-kill, as you probably figured out. We'll need to equip the Thunderbolt here. I would highly recommend coming to Junkman's stage with the Thunderbolt, for not only is it Junkman's weakness, but it can also power up these elevators. That way, you don't have to keep on using the rush coil to reach the ladders. But you need to be careful while on the ladders, because if you get squished between the elevator and ceiling, that is insta-kill. You have been warned. So we're gonna jump and, oh, we made it! Awesome! On an unrelated note, the ladders in this game are much bigger than they were in the NES days. I'd just like to point that out. So up we go here because it's a new upgrade. It's the Rush Jet. Remember? That Rush upgrade we all know and love? In Mega Man 3, that is, because, yeah, Mega Man 4 onwards, it was useless because Rush only flew straight. And sadly, that has remained the same in Mega Man 7. Fortunately, there is another upgrade to correct that. Oh, by the way, this thing. Oh, I forgot he did that. That is a Dust Crusher. Dust Crushers put up a periscope, and if they spot you, they'll try and attack. And yes, the Dust Crusher has the exact same name as Dustman's weapon did from Mega Man 4, but a lot more unhelpful if you catch my drift. By the way, these platforms will also rise from the floor, and you can ride them to get higher altitude, but they will shoot at you. Speaking of which, we have proper rides. Proper rides fly through the air and they serve as floating platforms, but what makes them annoying is the fact that sometimes debris can fall down, and there is no rhyme or reason for when it falls down. So using the proper rides, we have to try and avoid contact with the ground. Typically, the strategy is to wait until they stop moving, shoot them, and then ride to safety, hopefully. Oh, jeez. That was close. Yeah, I'm gonna need to get that weapon energy, because we'll need the Thunderbolt to be fully charged once we take on Junkman. Speaking of which, we are coming close to the end of the stage. And we'll switch back to the pea shooter of doom. This is a Frisk Cannon. Interesting name, I have to say. I have no idea why it's called a Frisk Cannon. But I can think about that later because we are at the end. So we'll need to equip the Thunderbolt for obvious purposes. And here's Junkman! Okay, that's a very stylish entrance, I have to say. Junkman is one of those robot masters which will stun you if you're on the ground when he lands, in the same vein as Gutsman from Mega Man 1. But if you do have the Thunderbolt, he's a joke. Dodging the junk he throws can be a little irritating, though. But thankfully, that wasn't too tough. And we're rewarded with a really, really nice weapon. The junk shield will protect the user with rotating spheres, right? Yes, but the spheres can only absorb so much damage before they are destroyed. You heard right, a shield weapon that's actually useful, the junk shield. What makes the junk shield so useful is that it can absorb several shots before it goes down, but you can throw it yourself at enemies, so it's a really nice weapon to have. It was the first good shield weapon, followed by the Jewel Satellite in Mega Man 9 and the Water Shield in Mega Man 10. But with Junkman defeated, we've got one Robot Master left, for the first half, that is. See you guys next time.